Good evening to everyone. Yes, and big greetings to all at Wat Vedananupassana, as well as everyone else and everyone here. Good evening.
Hello, Aya. How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah, just want to say thank you for your supporting us Tuesday night. Very appreciate it.
You're so welcome. It's a great pleasure. Thank you
Yes.
for being with us. We appreciate your presence too.
Thank you. And hello, everyone. Hello.
So we'll begin the evening as usual with some meditation time. And we're going to focus the evening, actually the whole evening, on the subject of Vedananupassana, feeling sensation, feeling feelings. This excerpt from the Satipatthana Sutta, the second resort, the second foundation of mindfulness from the Lord Buddha. So this is an encouragement for us to really pay attention to this aspect of our experience, isn't it? So let's begin with some meditation, and then I will afterwards say a few words on this topic and leave some space at the end for discussion. So let's prepare ourselves for some time of meditation. And we'll have 40 minutes or so to sit together in this way of practice. So please be comfortable and closing the eyes, considering the posture, sitting comfortably, upright, relaxed, bringing the attention into the body more fully, with less distraction. Feeling out how it is right now. We can say, how does it feel? What can be felt here? How do we know we have a body? What are the signals? What are the experiences of body for us right now? And we may notice immediately certain strong feelings here and there in the body. Perhaps one particular part of the body, or maybe more diffuse feelings here and there that are apparent, immediately apparent to us. Such as the pressure of the sitting bones, the butt on the seat. We can feel that quite easily. Or maybe if there's any kind of temperature issue, it's a little bit too cold or a little bit too hot, we can be aware of that. If we have a headache or a stiff shoulder, a sore knee, any part of the body that is uncomfortable, unpleasant feeling, can be very apparent for us. So first of all, just to notice what is presenting itself. And then if we sort of cast the attention over the whole body, we can start to open up to a more diverse, isn't it, range of feeling. And it's good to do this, to move the attention around and through, inside and outside the body. right from the top of the head all the way through down to the feet. Some people like to, or quite naturally, find that the mind will very slowly move through part by part. A very slow scan of the body. And for others, it can be very quick. A sense of whole body awareness and a mind that moves swiftly through and around the body. Just see how it is for you. It's really helpful to open to the fullness of this experience with the pleasant, the unpleasant, and the neutral feelings. Every part of the body feels. There is sensation, there is activity, there is an experience there for us. Just see if we can investigate in this way, moving the attention around the body. So helpful to enable us to remain very present, very awake to this moment. And so I'd like to invite everyone to scan the attention through and around the body with a focus on these feelings, Vedana, sensations, pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. And we notice how swiftly feelings change. As we move the attention around the body, it's very apparent we're not lingering anywhere. We can appreciate this quality of feeling arising and passing. It's almost like flickering, or almost like a pins and needles coming and going effect. Can we notice the transience, the impermanence, the changing quality of feelings? Sometimes there's an intense quality, strong pressure, pain in certain parts of the body. Can we appreciate even here that flickering on and off, bubbling quality of change. There's a flow of feeling arising and passing very rapidly, even when feeling initially can seem very solid. Let's see if we can break up, kind of divide and dissect any painful areas, any areas of strong feeling. Divide them up and see how changeable in actuality these feelings are. They come and go. There's movement within that seeming solidity. Just see if we can move towards painful feeling, move towards painful areas in the body in this way, and give them a little attention before moving on to see what else can be felt in other parts of the body. Sometimes it can be difficult to feel anything. There can be a sense of numbness or nothing happening in different areas. We can linger a bit longer in such places and just see. This is a great opportunity to deepen, sharpen our mindfulness. Just to see what can be discerned here. Something's happening, for sure. Let's wait and watch and patiently open to any areas that feel numb, no feeling, nothing happening. To see if we can begin to recognize the subtle, faint, neutral feelings in these areas. Moving the attention around the body. See if we can cover every part of the body. Starting to notice how we will tend to gravitate away from painful towards pleasant. And how easy it is to miss the neutral feelings. We start to see how quickly we respond to feeling. Just like a little one-celled amoeba, little organism. If you put something nourishing next to it, very quickly it will engulf that thing, embrace that thing and take it into itself. We're just like that. When there's a pleasant feeling, there's this instant movement towards interest in. And we can observe this, can't we, as we investigate this body. If there's any pleasant sensation anywhere, we like it. Just experience that movement towards. And with a little amoeba, if something dangerous, harmful, little drop of acid is dropped beside it, immediately it will constrict, move away, close up, and defend itself in any way it can. And so we can feel out in our meditation this fundamental quality of aversion towards the unpleasant. How helpful to know that this is cause and effect, it's natural. But we don't have to add anything. We can simply observe unpleasant feeling. And where there is that very rapid inclination to get away from it, we can stay steady, open, be present, and observe it just as it is. Strong feeling, pulsating feeling, sharpness starts to become more interesting, starts to lose that flavor of painful and become more nuanced. We start to investigate the Dhamma here more objectively. This is liberating for the heart. Seeing the relationship between feeling and reactivity, and standing in the space between the two, peaceful space, space of freedom, space of wisdom, space of liberation. So we can continue to sit quietly, observing just feelings. pleasant, unpleasant, neutral, in this body, moving the attention around and noticing reactivity, and moving into the space before reactivity kind of escalates. Staying steady, simply present with feeling. Dear friends, we can begin to emerge, as it were, from our meditation time, and feel free to move the body if it needs a bit of a change of position, and have a good stretch if that works for you. Taking care of the body. I'd like to offer some words on Dhamma. Before I begin, pay homage to the Buddha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddham dhammam sangham namasami. So, as the winter retreat sort of flows on, we move from the first to the second Satipatthana. And this week and next week, we are exploring Vedananupassana, the insightful seeing, experiencing, opening to feeling. And what better can I do than read to you from the Satipatthana Sutta? And so that's what I'm going to do. The contemplating of feeling, the section on contemplation of feeling, the second Satipatthana, is actually really quite short. It's interesting, the first and fourth Satipatthanas, body and Dhamma, or mental realm, those two sections are very long, and the two middle sections, the second and third foundations, quite a lot less words on contemplation of chitta, the mind, the heart, and contemplation of Vedana, this second foundation. So every word is precious and worthy of consideration. So let me begin with this section on Vedananupassana. This is Bhikkhu Bodhi's translation. And as I'm reading, please relax and continue to meditate and see if these words can really be felt and experienced. And how does one abide contemplating feelings as feelings? Here, when feeling a pleasant feeling, one understands, I feel a pleasant feeling. When feeling a painful feeling, one understands, this is a painful feeling. When feeling a neither pleasant nor painful feeling, we understand, I feel a neither pleasant nor painful feeling. When feeling a worldly pleasant feeling, we understand, I feel a worldly pleasant feeling. When feeling an unworldly pleasant feeling, we understand, this is an unworldly pleasant feeling. When feeling a worldly painful feeling, we understand, I feel a worldly painful feeling. When feeling an unworldly painful feeling, we understand, this is an unworldly painful feeling. When feeling a worldly neither pleasant nor painful feeling. We understand this is a worldly, neither pleasant nor painful feeling. And when feeling an unworldly, neither painful nor pleasant feeling, one understands, I feel an unworldly, neither painful nor pleasant feeling. So I'm going to pause here. We're already halfway through. Actually, this is the section on Vedana in full, and it's followed by the refrain, which follows every teaching in the Satipatthana Sutta. Each of these sections is really a meditation instruction for us. And this is our meditation instruction on feeling. And it's really amazing in its simplicity, isn't it? But also there's a very profound Dhamma here, which is this distinction that the Buddha is giving us to notice, the distinction between worldly and unworldly feelings. What does that mean? So we've, just meditated and we've been contemplating feeling, and we can see that, as the Buddha said, and as we know from our weeks, months, years of meditation practice, yes, we can say there are three kinds of feelings: pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral. We know we know the distinction between these, don't we? And we can feel the push and pull of them, of the painful and the pleasant. There is a clear difference in our almost immediate response to these experiences. And we get to really observe this. We get to observe reactivity. We get to observe the agitation of that. And we get to let go of it just through this simple observation of feeling. It's liberating, isn't it, for us? We're no longer slaves of feeling. We are observers of feeling. Wisdom can arise. And we can start to recognize, it's quite humbling, really, to recognize how much our lives are a product of following the pleasant and turning away from the unpleasant feelings. We can really see that. It's quite remarkable. We're not a one-celled amoeba that just reacts in this very black and white way to the pleasant, the healthful, the wanted, and the unpleasant, the dangerous, the unwanted. Our reactions are a bit more maybe sophisticated in a way, and maybe not in a way, because there is this essential movement when we observe, when we have the chance to meditate and observe things more clearly. We can see that it is a very remarkable, simple push and pull. And the complexity of our lives, the sophistication, when compared to a one-celled amoeba, is simply that we have a wider repertoire of action, but we are following, nevertheless, these two: pleasure, pain, like it, don't like it, want more, want less, want it, want to get away from it. And just to really wake up to this, this is to wake up to our conditioned existence. This is to wake up to that wish to keep rolling, along the cycle of birth and death, and to stop and to meditate and to witness the feelings, pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral, and to see that movement, wobble, shake in the heart in relation to this experience, is to wake up to our predicament and to start to, rather than following blindly our conditioning, to start to step away from it, step back from it, and to begin to experience some freedom, some choice here. We have choice. It's like the Buddha's teaching on the 2 arrows, isn't it? You know, if we have painful feeling and we can simply be present for it, it starts to feel more like we perceive it as more like something like pressure or something sharp or something aching or pulsing. We start to break up the painful sense of simply painful feeling into something more diverse, something more bearable. Through the act of observing painful feeling, we can be with it. We can start to open to it. We can do the opposite of that movement away from. We can do something radical. We can actually move towards it with interest, with Dhamma Vichaya, this enlightenment factor of investigation of Dhamma. So we're doing something very revolutionary. We're shattering our conditioning right there. And the Buddha said, this is like, you know, to have painful feeling. It's like to be shot by an arrow. It hurts. It's not what we want. It's painful, but we can, you know, accept, we can be present for, we can be aware of just that. The second arrow, which is an option, is when we start to react to painful feeling, isn't it? The Buddha said it's like you've been shot by one arrow and you're sticking in a second arrow on top, adding to the suffering. This is not necessary. We don't need to do this. So this reactivity, it's like an exaggeration of the problem. It's like we're adding to our suffering. We're adding whole extra dimensions when we have thoughts like, I hate this. How long is this going to last? How can I get away from this? Why is this happening to me? And so forth. Second arrow. Even as we sit and meditate, if we have painful feeling and we start to grit our teeth and screw up our eyes and clench our fists and wish it away, second arrow. What we want to do is to be so sharp, so aware, feel unpleasant feeling and notice the reactivity in the ways in which it manifests in the body. Tension, sense of stress, sense of aversion. How does that feel? Where does that manifest? What's adding to this? And it's really poignant because for many of us, we have pain. You know, we sit and meditate. It is painful. Go on retreat and it's just torture for a lot of people. It really is. I mean, if you feel that way, you're not alone in experiencing pain. Meditation is painful. If we sit for 30, 40, 50 minutes, an hour, we're likely to feel a little bit of pain. But more significantly, for many people, there's pain anyway. You know, there's arthritis, there's chronic illness, there's recurrent migraines, there's aching joints and so forth. Most people over a certain age know this. This is part of life. And so it's really poignant because it can be very much a part of our experience to have aversion towards this pain, the pain that doesn't go away, the pain that's with me all the time. I hate it. I don't want it. I want to take something to get rid of it. And it's fine to take something to get rid of it if we have to, if it's necessary for us to bear, to function and so forth. But it's really helpful just to see that, you know, that we are adding the second arrow, and not to be hard on ourselves for that, but just to know it, to see it, to be with that, to notice the reactivity, to notice the aversion, and to let this understanding develop for us. Freedom, wisdom. The second arrow starts to fade. The second arrow can even be removed. You know, the unworldly. What is the unworldly, painful, pleasant, and neutral feeling that the Buddha is asking us to consider, to feel? It's the feeling of not reacting. It's the feeling of seeing clearly. Worldly pain is amisa. It means, in Pali, this word amisa means of the flesh, of the body, sensual feeling. The simple, pleasant, painful, and neutral feelings of the body. Unworldly, pleasant, painful, neutral feelings we can experience when we wake up to this process. When we have pleasant feeling, we can notice the unworldly, pleasant feeling of not reacting, you know, not moving towards, not having a knee-jerk response to pleasant feeling, seeing that inclination to grasp and not grasping. This gives real joy. This gives real pleasant feeling for us, gives real happiness for us. We can see the unworldly, painful feelings. What is an unworldly, painful feeling? People experience suffering around their realization that slowly dawns on us when we practice, that we are tethered. You know, we're caught up. We're not able to let go sometimes. We see, as we deepen our practice, how we're on a journey here, and it's not easy to free the heart just like that. And we can have a painful feeling. It's a feeling of spiritual suffering, unworldly, painful feeling. When there's pleasant feeling in the body, we can actually feel pain if we wake up to this dilemma that pleasant feeling will overwhelm us at times and will follow sensual inclinations. Painful for us, unworldly, painful feeling, and so on. So the Buddha was really asking us to not just feel what we feel, but to notice the kind of ethical quality to the feeling, you know, worldly feeling and unworldly feeling. And we can only really experience unworldly feeling when we're present, when we're noticing the first arrow, the feeling itself, and then the almost instantaneous reactivity and the ability to stay steady, to feel what we feel without adding anything at all. I was a Goenka student, like probably many of us, and I learned through the Goenka technique, which focuses entirely on this second satipatthana. I learned to observe feeling, or as Goenkaji would call it, sensation in the body. And so spending many, many days just sitting and directing all the attention to feeling in the body. And his technique, as many of you will know, is one of, a bit like I was talking about in the guided meditation, of moving the attention through the body and keeping it moving so as to keep the focus, actually, and also to notice the change, the flow of feelings, so not to allow the mind to get really caught up in any particular area. Anyway, for me, when I started practicing meditation in this way, it was a remarkable revelation, because I don't know about you, but I think for many people, we're not used to noticing pleasant, painful, or neutral feeling. Not just neutral, but even pleasant and painful feeling, because we're so quickly moving into the reactivity. We don't catch the actual experience of simply feeling. And so to meditate is to begin to come back, as it were, isn't it? To come back to the source of our motivations. A lot of the momentum of our lives, as I was saying, is a result of feeling in the body. The Buddha said, didn't he, that all the strife and trouble, turmoil, all the wars in this world are due to desire. Desire for what? Pleasant feeling. It's really remarkable how we miss the cause and are caught up in the momentum, in the volitional, conditioned activity that all stems from pleasant, painful, and neutral feeling in the body. So, you know, to begin to meditate, I woke up to this body and that it was a sentient being, that it was a something that was alive, full of reactivity, full of feeling. And it was a remarkable revelation for me. It was like, oh my goodness. I remember coming away from my first Goenka course and I was just so amazed by this sudden aliveness of this body that I couldn't do anything else except continue to feel the feelings in the body. And I became a little bit unbalanced, actually. What I didn't realize at the time was how powerful the response to feeling is. And so what I was actually doing was delighting in pleasant sensations. And Goenkaji, again and again on his courses that he would teach, and even now to this day, even though he's passed away, the video teachings that are still played on these courses, again and again, he's saying, don't make the mistake of getting caught up in pleasant feeling. And I think everybody probably does get caught up in that, because it's very difficult for us to simply feel what we feel. It's very difficult for us to stop reacting, to stop blindly pursuing the pleasant and pushing away the unpleasant. So we can consider this, and we can know, we can experience in our meditation that we're beginning to loosen a little bit the chains. We're beginning to step out of this bondage, and it's a process, isn't it? It's like, can I resist this movement towards the pleasant? Can I feel pain without any aversion, any trace of aversion? And the truth is, you know, that not until we're really quite highly spiritually attained can we say that we're free from desire and aversion. Desire and aversion to what? To feeling. This is the source, pleasant, unpleasant feeling. Only a non-returner, once returner, is free from this push and pull. These two fetters of desire and aversion. So it's good to, you know, consider how much of a challenge this is for us, and also to recognize that this is really liberating work to just be present and feel what we feel. The good news is that we don't have to do anything else. We just have to be present and to wake up to the constant flow of pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral feelings. and see if we can stay steady. And of course, formal meditation is the way to train the mind to develop this kind of equanimity. And then as we develop our meditation practice, we have a regular practice, a daily practice, hopefully for most of us twice a day, morning and evening practice. We have a chance to stop and to notice, where's the second arrow come in today? Where have I reacted to pleasant or unpleasant experience? Where has there been a leaning towards and a pushing away? And or, usually and. Where have I been swayed by feeling? And not to make a problem of this, but just to notice, because we start to unbind it, don't we, as we sit. And through our meditation practice, we can then begin to manifest this equanimity in our day-to-day life. And just in our everyday interactions and activities, see, feel. We get to tune in, don't we, to feeling reactivity, what it's like. What is it like when aversion comes into the mind? How does it feel? We get to know that clenching in the belly, that tightening of the jaw, the shoulders starting to go up a bit of heat here and there in the body, and so forth. And we get to recognize, what's the feeling of desire that comes in with pleasant feeling? How does it feel when I start wanting something? And I can notice that in everyday life, a feeling of warmth sort of flowing through the body, or the mouth salivating when I think of food, that leaning into experience, or that sense of yearning, that drive from within that makes me want to reach out and get something, whatever it might be. So we get a handle on this. We start to catch ourselves before the second arrow comes in, and we can be present with just this. There's pleasant feeling in the body right now. There's painful feeling. And yes, I can be present for this, and I don't have to follow it. I don't have to react. There is equanimity, the space, the freedom of that unworldly, pleasant feeling. And we can observe that and not grow anything out of that either, but just be aware of that. So I'm going to read the refrain now, following on from the teaching on observing sensation, observing Vedana. So if you'd like to, again, really listen with the whole body. Here we go. In this way, we abide, contemplating feelings as feelings internally, or contemplating feelings as feelings externally. Or we abide contemplating feelings as feelings both internally and externally. Or else we abide contemplating in feelings their arising, or contemplating in feelings their vanishing, or contemplating in feelings both their arising and vanishing. Or else mindfulness that there is feeling is simply established in us to the extent necessary for bare knowledge and mindfulness. And we abide independent, not clinging to anything in this world. This is how one abides, contemplating feelings as feelings. So the full spectrum here for us. Feelings internally, externally and both internally and externally. What does that mean? Many interpretations one can consider for oneself. When I'm meditating, my sense is for me that internally means feelings in the body. As I pay attention to the body, what feelings are present for me? What feelings are present here? And externally, when a thought comes in, or a sound, something from the sense doors comes in from outside, can I notice the feelings that arise in relation to that? This is one way of considering for yourselves to see how one can kind of distinguish between bodily feeling, feeling of touch, feeling of the aliveness of the body, the feelings right here in the body, and that which comes in seemingly from outside, a sight, a sound, a smell, a taste, a touch, or a thought. Another way of interpreting this is that when we meditate, when we're present for this one, this is internal feeling. And when we look around and we see other people and their reactions and their responses, we can gauge pretty well, maybe not always accurately, but whether they're experiencing pleasant or painful or neutral feelings, and we can observe that. We can notice that we are so similar. Feelings are shared. Everyone knows what is sorrow, what is pain, what is the first arrow of painful feeling, what is the second arrow of reactivity to that painful feeling. We can see that in others just as we can feel that in ourselves. It's not different. Our ability to observe and learn from others in this way is another interpretation of external feelings. But I think it's something that we can, allow to make sense for each one of us. How does it work for you? Can you consider the difference between internal and external and what that means for you and how that can help us to develop our understanding, develop our experience of feeling? And then the change, the impermanence, the arising and the passing. In every single contemplation the Buddha gives us in Satipatthana Sutta, this too is present for us. This refrain again and again, the invitation to see anicca, to see the change, to notice that there's no feeling that lasts. As the Buddha said, these feelings are like bubbles hitting as it rains on water, the bubbles that appear and disappear so quickly. He said the feelings are like winds, all the different kinds of winds, hot and cold, strong and gentle breezes. Feelings are like winds, constantly moving, constantly changing. So this sense of the impermanence, we can really take this teaching and apply it to our meditation and notice anicca, develop anicca sanya, awareness of impermanence. So helpful for us when we have an experience of painful feeling, to notice the change within that. When we have pleasant feeling, before we get caught up in it and move towards it, recognizing that, well, this is changing, it's not going to last, it's not worth pursuing anicca. So to really wake up to the flow of feelings is to wake up to the impersonal nature also, isn't it? It just goes together with anicca sanya, anatta sanya. How can I call this mine? How can I call these feelings me? Or how can I call the one who feels me when there's simply this constant flow. There's nothing that one can reify, solidify around. How helpful. So these characteristics of reality are right there for us when we apply this aspect of the teaching to our meditation, to our experience of Vedananupassana, anicca, constant change. And then the instructions also there. After all the words have been said, one can follow this instruction only to just be mindful that there is feeling, to the extent necessary for bare awareness and mindfulness. And I love this constant refrain for us, because we have the tendency, don't we, to intellectualize. We use words. I'm using words now to convey these teachings, but actually, to me, this instruction in the refrain is really pointing to the simple experience. That is what all these words are trying to direct us towards. Just be aware. That's all we have to do, is just to be present. And we, of course, you all know this because you meditate, and how beautiful it is to let everything else go and simply be here. How relaxing, how peaceful. Even when it's not peaceful, it's peaceful, isn't it? To be able to understand enough Dhamma to stop and be still and feel what we feel. So this instruction is really just encouraging simplicity. And finally, to abide independent, not clinging to anything in this world. This is how we contemplate feelings as feelings. And my sense is, I don't know about you, but when we follow these teachings and we practice in this way, we become independent. We become free from clinging to anything in this world, because we start to recognize that there is nothing to cling to. All we're clinging to is transient, ephemeral bubbles of pleasant feeling. All we're turning away from is transient, constantly changing, painful feelings. And when we get a handle on this, it's really something amazing, isn't it? That we can kind of rise above the push and pull, the cloud, the kind of miasm, the fog of ignorance that keeps us on the treadmill of birth and death in every moment. And we start to free up. We're no longer duped by feelings. We're no longer enslaved by them. We're no longer fooled by Mara, we could say, fooled by delusion. We start to become the masters of these minds, and to be able to watch the heart free itself, to see, to feel, to experience all the knots, all the obstructions, all the sources of confusion, pain and suffering fading away. So I'd like to finish here. Anyone? We have a little bit of time. I think I'll just end the live stream.